Brothers, I wanted to break down the bunch offset formation in the Atlanta Falcons offensive playbook and just give kind of a little mini overview to this offense. A lot of good formations in this playbook, including this bunch wide nasty with a nice auto motion running back route that you can kind of build around in the formation. But for this, I want to try to keep this a fairly simple bunch offset little mini scheme here for you. So the plays that I like to have is corner out dig, verts halfback under, PA cheat, switch comeback. And then if you want this cheat outside zone, you can have this. Or if you wanted to, you could really do whatever you want in this audible slot. If you want to have smash return, if you just want to have a basic inside zone, whatever you want to do here. You could also put this play wide trail in here, but we'll just leave it as is. And I'm going to be coming out in this play bench pivot. I want to first start out with this play, as this is a really good play in the game right now. And then we'll talk about some of the other plays you have in this formation. So my favorite play out of this is probably this bench pivot play, just because this specific zig gets in a really nice spot. So the setup for this is you're just going to drag your tight end and you're going to flat your running back. So what you'll see happen here is if they're playing kind of underneath coverage or kind of basic coverage, your tight end drag is going to be open a lot. And so what they're going to basically have to do to stop the tight end drag is they're either going to have to user it with the yellow zone, which if they do that, then normally the running back's going to get open here on the backside, or they're going to have to shade underneath. And when they start shading underneath, that's when everything kind of works a little bit better. So you'll see here that when they shade underneath, this backside dig is going to get open. I got to show that a little bit better. I forgot to put the running back on the route there. So you'll see here, this is a shaded underneath cover 4 drop. And you'll see here that this dig is going to, I got to wait just a little longer. But this dig is going to kind of split the hook curls. And then also your whip route is going to get open here. So you'll see here, we just wait on this patient. There you see it split the hook curls like that. So you're going to have that open. And then let's say that they're usering, typically what'll happen is they'll like user the dig with like a mid read or something, like they kind of user in the middle of the field. That's where, again, your tight end. So your first read on this really is your tight end quick over the middle. This throw right here is like a super good throw in this game. And as you see, it's a real simple throw, but it's going to get you about 7 yards. So if you can, get an easy 7-yard gain again and again and again and again, it's going to put them in a lot of trouble. So sometimes what they'll do is they'll try to flip this where they'll kind of have a mid-read coming from over on the trip side, kind of bluff like they're going to guard this little whip. And you'll see here that the whip gets open in this little pocket over in here. Now, another thing that's really popular that a lot of people like to do is they will run cover 2 with this vert hook on this right side. So a lot of people run this with a vert hook to the right side, and then this basically allows them to user the backside in. But what you'll see is if it is a vert hook, you can throw it before it gets to the vert hook. The hook curl, in my opinion, defends it okay. The thing with the hook curl, like just a basic hook curl that I didn't want to showcase, is this hook curl, for the most part, shaded down hook curl does decent. But if you wait on this, you can actually throw it like over in there. So you see how you can kind of really, to a degree, force feed that route. And this forces what this really does, which is why I think this is so good, is it forces 3 yellow zones in the middle of the field. If they don't have 3 yellow zones in the middle of the field, then you're going to have one of your routes open. I really like the dig here, and you got to kind of like learn how to throw this, but you're just waiting for it to get kind of in this area. Now, normally what people do, this is like most people, they're going to send 4. So I'll show you like an actual thing that you would see. So like they'll send 4 like this, and then maybe run like a cover 2 on this right side. So we talked about how you can throw this whip route basically right in front of a vert hook. So you throw it right here, right in that little pocket. So now if you think about it, how do they have to user you? Well, what they're probably going to do, okay, is they're going to now run the same basic blitz, right? But now they're going to get more over in this area of the field to try to prevent this throw initially, and then they're going to try to basically cut this tight end, but it's a super hard user. So if we look back at our route combination, our main opening here is going to be this tight end kind of in this quick little area of the field. So this play is super good, and this play also does a really good job of attacking man-to-man, which I will showcase that. Let me actually get back in a basic defense here, and if I wanted to play man-to-man, this would do a really good job of beating it. So again, just super simple setup, but if they do go man coverage, the main route you're going to read is either your in route, your drag, or your zig. And your zig is really the main route that beats man consistently. And then, let's say they throw a hard flat over there for the zig. You just see how this play is such a good quick hitter. Like, it just breaks down coverage real quick and real efficiently, and it's you're really looking for about 5 to 10 yards out of this play. So what this play forces your opponent to do, pretty much, as I said, is have 3 people in the middle of the field in some way, shape, or form. Normally, that is going to mean that they are going to be in a cover 2 coverage shell. And so this is where you can either do it all out of bench pivot. If you wanted to do it out of bench pivot, you certainly can. But basically what happens is this is almost always a soft squat on the outside. If it is a cloud, I'll go over that as well. But basically, if you just corner route this guy and streak the tight end, now you have a smash combo. And what will happen is this corner route will destroy a soft squat, because that soft squat has to jump down on that out route, and then the cloud, and then obviously that's open. Now, again, as I said, you have to have 3 yellows in the middle of the field. So what this normally means, if you're sitting 4 and you need to have 3 yellows, you're going to be in cover 2, right? Generally speaking, some form of cover 2, of course. It could be quarters. It could be it would be cover 2 with 2 inside quarters, or cover 2 with 2 inside halves. But in general, it's probably going to be some type of cover 2. So the other thing about this is if it's a cloud flat, you see that this guy is going to get over the top of him as well. So they're going to have legitimate zone drops to be able to defend this. And this is just something that you can go to that does a really good job of taking advantage of that defense. Now, again, what we're anticipating, this is super important, is we are anticipating that they have 3 people that they're using for yellow zones. Normally, what that's going to mean here is a roll coverage like this, as you see. So another little thing that you can do on this play that I think is perfectly fine if you're not anticipating a lot of pressure, put the running back on the table, because now you can throw this if they're cloud flatting, and it just opens up everything else for your offense. Now, we talked about how more than likely this is going to force someone into kind of a cover 2 defense, and that cover 2 could manifest itself like a cloud flat, a soft squat, or a hard flat. So if it manifests as a soft squat on both sides, this is where verticals comes into play, where we're just going to table the running back. And then what I like to do is, instead of the crosser, because the crosser is a pretty easy thing they can switch stick on, you could put him on a slant, and now you have a slant flat combo. So your first read here is going to be this fade. As you see, this fade is a little bit of a challenging. This fade is a little bit of a. It's a pretty good throw if this guy's like more in here. If they're super far out like that, that's one thing. But I find that a lot of people run the double safety walk down defense, right? This is a pretty safe read if that deep half is not in there and you're pass leading that outside. Okay. But it's obviously a read. You're obviously looking and saying, okay, is this open or not open? Another thing that happens a lot, by the way, in this game is a lot of people are going to run this exact defense on you, where they're having the soft squats, but then they're going to quarter both of these guys. So this is why I like putting the running back on the flat route, because if they do soft squat, I have a huge play to this outside fade. Okay, so this is a way that you can kind of manipulate the soft squats once they start to soft squat you. Now, if let's say they're in a cover 2, and let's say that they're in a cloud flatted version of their cover 2, and we are invert with the running back table. You'll see here that this crosser is really, or not crosser, I'm sorry. This wheel is going to be the read. So let me actually go back to get you the right setup. I don't normally put the crosser on the field unless I don't know. I mean, I just don't think the crosser ever gets open this year, to be honest. I like the slant better. But anyways, you'll see here, cover 2 here on the right. You can pass lead up and to the right. And as you see, it's going to get open over there. Another thing that I don't think is a terrible idea is if they are running a lot of cover two, one of the other things you can do out of verticals this year is a simple, slot streak, tight end post like this. And what you'll see is this deep half will kind of span out. And then this guy will split the cover two right up the middle as well. So if you're trying to break down cover two, this is something that you can use to do that. What most people are going to end up being in against you is, as you can see, some type of a cover three roll to the bunch side is pretty much where we want. It's pretty much where people are kind of forced to go with their coverage here. And normally it's going to be a cloud on this outside. So you see here, you're going to pretty typically, you're going to get a roll coverage where you're either getting this, as you can see here. And again, this guy's going to have to really be more of a mid-read defender in terms of how he's usered because of how this game plays. If they do have a hard flat over here, then what you're able to do, if we go back to that vertical setup, is this is where the slant becomes really handy. Because what you're going to see here is this slant is going to get in this nice pocket, and it's a pretty clean read against that cover three. The thing that people forget about slant routes against cover three, cover four hard flats is a slant route. If you think about it, it's going to run about 20-ish yards at the point of the throw. So I'm at the 20. Watch where he catches it at about the 40. Right, it's about that 20-yard mark. In terms of what a slant is actually going to do across the middle. And this is also a really good play for attacking man coverage. This play does a really good job of breaking that coverage down. And then from there, I like to kind of go through some more basic stuff. So one of my favorite plays is this PA switch, play action blocking. Almost always on this one, I'm going to probably block my running back, okay? And the reason why I'm going to do that is just because of this cheat motion and just kind of how this plays. I'm going to give you another setup that is good for cover four, but then we were talking a little bit about potentially getting some cover two here to the left side. So what I'll do is occasionally, you can run this play. You can run it a couple different ways. You can put the running back on the table if you want to do that. But what I really like to do here is I like to keep this post or put a hot route post like this. And then I'm almost always dragging my tight end, and then this guy on the outside can be on whatever. Don't really care. But the reason and the whole purpose of the cheat motion is it gets a nice release against cover two. It makes it harder for them to run cover two. It's also really good if they're running any kind of like man coverage out of like a nickel set. This is like a 3-4 odd or something like that where, they have to kind of be on their game to run it. This is something that I'll go to. But again, I really like this setup. And we will, let me see if I can show it to you against just a basic cover four. So against a basic like cover four drop type of coverage, it's going to do decent. Normally what I'm going to end up throwing here is going to have to be this post, but you see that clear out streak, it really does clear out a lot of space for the post. So you've got a lot of opportunity here. Again, the main purpose of this play to me is it's really good against cover two. If I ever get a lot of cover two, this would be a play that I would want to have just out of bunch. It just does a really good job very quickly manipulating that cover two. And you can kind of get to this however you want. If you want to do it like this as well, you could do that. But what you'll see here again is that Tampa 2. Watch this this deep half. You see he gets a free release, and then the deep half is going to be put into conflict. Let me show you that one more time so we get actually a really good throw here, because that was not the greatest throw. And again, I just like the basic post. I don't like to put him on the S post anymore. I used to like the S post, but I just think the basic post gets enough. It runs perfect for what we want. All right, we're going to really try to get this for you here, because that was not what we wanted. I need to cancel that running back play action. All right, here we go. This should be fine. And I want you to watch this throw on the left. So we're going to wait for him to kind of clear this guy, and then we're looking for that throw over the left. We don't want a red, but anyway, biggest thing here is this is a good play for cover two to the solo side. Most people that I play don't really run a lot of cover two to the solo side, but if they ever did, this is something that you can really use that I think is really good. Most people are going to be cover three or cover four to that solo side. Let's see if we can finally make the throw. Perfect. There you see it. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit more about breaking down cover 4 to this left side. One of my favorite things that I have in this playbook as well is just a basic setup, and it's out of this other play that we have in our playbook. This is kind of this version of double post, okay? It's very similar to that. So let me get to it. It's called wide trail. So a couple things here. We have this nice fade. We have this post, and then we have kind of a trail route and drag. So a couple different ways to run the play. My favorite way is to drag the tight end, streak the slot receiver, and then use a speed out like this. And the reason I like this setup, and you could, if you don't want to drag the tight end, you could do it like this too, if you want to block the tight end. But I really like the tight end drag. So the reason I like this is because if they're playing hard flats, they actually play the speed out decent enough. So you have to you do have to kind of check down to the tight end. But the reason I like this setup is because a lot of times what will happen is they'll put a vert hook. If you start to notice they're putting like a vertical hook on this left side, and it's just obvious that this flat's open, you know, this is where the speed out is something nice in to have. The other reason why I like this though is because if they run cover 3 by using the speed out, and you could use a comeback too, but by using the speed out, now we have a good chance for a big hitter. So you'll see here, you know, still one of the most consistent cover 3 beaters in the game, and you get a big hitter over the middle. Okay, but in general, not a whole lot to say about this play this year, but this is a good combo. You can also do it like this and literally recreate double post with a tight end wheel that you can hot route now. So anyway, nice little play out of ATL bunch. I'm trying to think if there's anything else like worth mentioning from this formation. You do have like one click over, you're in Y curl, right? So you know you can go to Y curl. You just have a bunch of options within the audible system here. Another thing I did want to point out is we haven't even touched on this yet, so I do think it is worth talking about. You have smash return in here. You have spacing switch in here. You have some really nice, again, just horizontal strain plays that I think are just kind of worth utilizing. So smash return, there's a lot of different ways to run smash return, but this would be a really good setup for these this like shaded down hook curl stuff that you might get. So what you could do is just drag the tight end, block the running back, streak this receiver, and then what you'll see here is watch these hook curls. See how they go down to those underneath routes, and then that gets open over the top. It's kind of a similar position that we're putting you in with bench pivot, but it's just slightly different, and just in terms of how you have to switch stick and user it. This is just, again, one of my favorite plays to force that heavy underneath coverage that is really, really hard to make a living on. Another thing is just good old-fashioned bunch staples that you can do from any play in this playbook. You don't have to have a specific play, but just put a corner, stem it all the way down, put a streak, put a post, and put a backside drag. Feel free to motion your running back if you ever worry about match. You could do that, but these stem down corners are really still pretty powerful, and it's just, you know, people have kind of started to switch stick those a lot. But the beauty of this is we have our check down game over the middle, as you can see. So, you know, just different things like that you can do. Another underrated combo out of this formation, in my opinion, would be, not that we get, you know, again, we have some other plays that work for this, but you can just motion this across like this. This just makes sure that they can't cover to you on this right side. And if you don't want to stem them all the way down, stem them down to this spot right here. This is really a perfect, like, sweet spot for killing any kind of cloud flat over there on the right side. So in general, this is the Atlanta bunch, and hope you enjoyed watching the video. If you guys want to check out my full offensive or defensive ebooks for Madden or for College Football 25, those are all in our school community, school.com/Cody Ballard. The link to sign up for that is going to be in the description down below.